viewers, I'm Berita RTM and you're watching News at 10. Our headlines for tonight. National COVID-19 Rapid Response Force reactivated to tackle Omicron wave. Kedah Rubber City set to attract 10 billion ringgit potential investments. The Health Ministry MOH has reactivated the National COVID-19 Rapid Response Task Force RRTF as it heightens the level of preparedness to deal with the Omicron wave. Its Minister Kari Jamaluddin said the special committee would implement rapid response measures to curb the spread of infections in a particular state or area. The early rapid response actions include increasing beds and converting non-COVID-19 beds, building field hospitals and decanting patients to private hospitals. RRTF will be jointly chaired by Health Deputy Director General for Public Health, Dr. Dr. Cheong Chi Keong, and Health Deputy Director General for Medicine, Dr. Dr. Asmaini Khalib, who will report directly to Khairi.
Dan ini adalah task force yang akan berada di lapangan untuk memastikan sekiranya ada tekanan kepada sistem kesihatan kita. Kita sudah ada hospital admission pathway dan juga decanting pathway yang jelas, yang licin, yang cekap supaya tiada pesakit yang terkandas ataupun terpaksa tunggu lama untuk dapat rawatan. Saya juga ingin maklumkan kepada
Meanwhile, individuals aged 60 and above, as well as Sinovac vaccine recipients aged 18 years and above, are required to take their COVID-19 booster jab to retain their fully vaccinated status by 1st of March. Khairi informed that to date, 32%, equivalent to 1 million elderly residents, have yet to receive their booster shot. At the same time, 3.5 million Sinovac primer vaccines have not received their booster dose.
Saya merayu sangatlah, ya, terutamanya risiko jangkitan teruk juga adalah lebih tinggi di kalangan warga emas. Daripada 32,000 lebih kematian sehingga 6 Februari, sebanyak 57% ataupun 18,362 adalah warga emas usia 60 tahun ke atas. Majoriti adalah orang tua. Data harian menunjukkan individu yang belum divaksin adalah 9 kali lebih berkemungkinan untuk dijangkiti dan 62 kali lebih berkemungkinan kematian akibat COVID-19 berbanding individu yang telah lengkap vaksin ataupun yang telah mendapat dos penggalak.
Individuals who tested positive for COVID-19 and are in categories 1 and 2 but not at high risk do not need to go to the COVID-19 Assessment Centre CAC. Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah said instead, the individuals need to do self-monitoring through the Health Assessment Tool HAT available on the MySejahtera application. In a Facebook posting, Tan Sri Dr. Nur Hisham said the individuals will receive SMS or calls from the automated voice recording service if they have not or do not carry out their daily self-monitoring. Meanwhile, he said individuals who are positive and in category 2B and above, whether at high risk or not or have worsening symptoms, are required to go to the nearest CAC or hospital for further examination without waiting for a phone call from the centre. The Health DG said individuals who are required to go to the nearest CAC for further evaluation will be notified by MySejahtera or contacted by CEC via SMS or phone call. He also reminded the public to continue to comply with their recommendations as well as health advice from the Health Ministry and observe the trace, report, isolate, inform and seek practices before attending social activities or get tested immediately if they have symptoms. The Malaysian Communication and Multimedia Commission MCMC today reminded the public to be vigilant and not to be deceived by fake news, asking senior citizens not to vote in the upcoming Johor state election. MCMC said it has detected a message that went viral on social media, asking senior citizens not to vote in the polls to curb the spread of COVID-19 in the group. In a statement today, MCMC said this reminder is important to avoid confusion and panic among the people that can trigger unwanted situations. MCMC said the public is also advised to get the latest information and verify authentic news from official sources, especially the Health Ministry MOH or through the sebenarnya.my portal. It added that stern action can be also taken against those who spread fake news under the relevant legislation. Yesterday, MOH denied that it had suggested that senior citizens should not go out to vote in the Johor state election, as alleged on social media recently. The ministry said that it had never issued the recommendation and hoped that the public would not spread the false information. Kedah Rubber City KRC is set to attract potential investments worth 10 billion ringgit and create 15,000 jobs opportunities by 2025, which will provide various spillover benefits to the local community. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said despite being just launched, the Northern Corridor Economic Region NCER strategic project had to date attracted committed investments of 4 billion ringgit that would generate nearly 7,000 job opportunities for the members of keluarga Malaysia.
Sehubungan dengan itu, saya berharap agar pelabur dari dalam dan luar negara akan merebut peluang ini untuk menempatkan operasi mereka di KRC. Kajian Persekutuan telah meluluskan peruntukan sebanyak 417.5 juta ringgit untuk fasa 1 projek KRC. Berdasarkan kemajuan yang memberangsangkan di bawah fasa 1, fasa 2 projek KRC akan dilaksanakan pada tahun 2023.
Speaking at the launch of the KRC in Padang Terap, Kedah, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri said the launch of the project, one of the national strategic projects in NCER, was timely as the country was in the recovery process and its economic growth had been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. KRC is developed with the aim of making it a leader in the development of Malaysia's rubber industry, as well as a global hub for high-value rubber industry. Its existence reflects the economic growth momentum and development of Kedah, which will be driven by the modern and smart agriculture sector, as well as high-value manufacturing. Earlier, the Prime Minister chaired the 28th meeting of the Northern Corridor Implementation Authority (NCIA) Council at the Padang Terap District and Land Office. After chairing the meeting, Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri spent about 10 minutes touring an exhibition put up by the participants of the Northern Corridor Economic Region's NCER Integrated Human Capital Program and interacting with them. Meanwhile, NCIA in a statement said efforts to accelerate growth as well as NCER economic recovery post-COVID-19 pandemic were on track, as seen from the strong economic recovery and resilience recorded by the region in 2021, with the growth is expected to continue this year. It said positive investor sentiment, implementation of strategic projects and programs, as well as attractive incentives provided by the federal government through NCIA are expected to maintain the momentum of economic growth and recovery in the region this year. Next, improve business regulations toward high-income country standards. The manufacturing and factory sectors will not be closed despite increasing daily COVID-19 cases due to the Omicron variant. Senior Minister for International Trade and Industry Datuk Seri Muhammad Azmin Ali, when announcing the matter, expressed his commitment in line with the government's decision to ensure a full shutdown does not occur.
Kita juga telah memperkenalkan satu mekanisme baru yang dipanggil Safe at Work supaya diwujudkan bubble dari segi tempat penginapan pekerja ke lokasi kilang dan fasiliti yang berkenaan. Dan sekiranya ada kes-kes baru, tidak ada keperluan untuk kita menutup keseluruhan kemudahan ini.
The success of the COVID-19 Public-Private Partnership PIKAS Industrial Immunisation Programme conducted by MIDI will also ensure that economy sectors are not disrupted. Datuk Seri Azmin Ali earlier held a factory visit at St. Microelectronics Sdn Bhd in Tanjung Agas Industrial Zone, Muar. The quality of rules in business needs to be improved towards that of a country with high income status. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department of Economy, Datuk Seri Mustafa Muhammad said, 3 main criteria must be given focus in implementation and enforcement of the regulations. They comprise of being agile and responsive towards current needs, transparent and fairness, as well as inclusivity and comprehensiveness.
In this connection, Pemuda is expected to play an important role in assisting the government to strengthen business legislation and enhance government efficiency. With the support of MIDI, local authorities and MPC, I trust Pemuda will deliver in its mandate to further strengthen business legislation in this country.
He said this in his keynote speech in line with the 15th anniversary of the Special Task Force on Service Delivery, Pemuda establishment held virtually. In the same speech, Datuk Seri Mustafa also said, Pemuda must utilise each of their platforms to make Malaysia a preferred investment destination. Malaysia's gross domestic product GDP is expected to have grown 3.0% year-on-year in the fourth quarter of 2021, compared with a 4.5% contraction in the prior quarter. According to Moody's Analytics, continued strength in exports and a revival in private consumption are expected to have supported Malaysia's final quarter. According to Moody's Asia Pacific Economic Preview, severe resurgence of COVID-19 weighed heavily on the economy through much of last year, resulting in consecutive quarters of contraction as households retreated and private investment took a backseat. It said the weakness in domestic demand more than offset its gains from a relatively strong trade position over this period, but domestic conditions improved in the final quarter. It added that higher vaccination rates and the easing of restrictions paved the way for a visible turnaround in retail spending since October 2021. Proton's sales volume in January fell to 4,453 units for both domestic and export sales in January, a reduction of 25.3% from the same month in 2021 and equivalent to an estimated local market shares of 11.3%. It attributed the decline to the knock-on effects of the severe flooding in Selangor at the end of 2021. According to Proton Edar Chief Executive Officer Roslan Abdullah, while Proton's production facilities in Shah Alam and Tanjung Malim were unaffected by the floods in December, the company's vendors were not as lucky as many have production facilities in Shah Alam and were thus affected by the rising floodwaters. He said this had a direct effect on production volume in January, leading to a shortage of units to fulfill orders. Proton, however, is confident of meeting its targets for 2022 based on market projection as well as the sales and marketing plans for the rest of the year. Among all models, the Proton X50 and Proton X70 were the first to resume production, and this was reflected in their January sales volume. A total of 2,601 units of Proton X50 and 799 units of the Proton X70 were delivered last month, and although the individuals' numbers were modest compared to the previous month, combined they helped to position Proton as the #1 sport utility vehicle SUV brand in Malaysia. Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al-Sultan Abdullah Riayatuddin Al-Mustafa Billah Shah attended the Royal Malaysia Police PDRM anti-terrorism demonstration. The event, held at the Police Training Centre Pulau Pol Parade Ground today, involved members from various units and displayed numerous anti-terrorism assets available at the country's arsenal. Among the demonstrations performed were sniper shots by the Special Action Unit UTK and retrieval of kidnapped victims by PDRM Tracker Dog Unit K9, as well as the 69 Commando Team and General Operations Forces Tiger Platoon. The demonstration was carried out by 220 personnel. His Majesty was accompanied by Home Ministry Secretary General Datuk Seri Wan Ahmad Dahlan Abdul Aziz and Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Akril Sani Abdullah Sani. The King also visited booths related to the anti-terrorism demonstration before leaving for home. A much smaller contingent to the 11th ASEAN Para Games APG in Solo, Surakarta, Indonesia from 20th to 31st July. Paralympic Council of Malaysia MPM President Datuk Seri Megadi Syahriman Zaharuddin said this was due to several constraints such as budget, lack of time to prepare the contingent, as well as concerns about the safety of athletes following the COVID-19 Omicron variant raging around the world. According to him, the decision on participation in the Games will only be decided after getting approval from the National Security Council (MKN) and the Ministry of Health (MOH) if Indonesia are confirmed as the organizer of the Games this 17th February. Datuk Seri Megadi Syahriman said, with the increase in Omicron cases worldwide and the daily number of COVID-19 cases in Malaysia reaching 10,000 cases yesterday, MPM did not want to put athletes at risk. The Board of Governors (BOG) of the ASEAN Para Games Federation (APSF) last month granted conditional permission for Indonesia to host these games after Vietnam cancelled its organisation last year. The permission was conditional to Indonesia being removed from restrictions imposed by the World Anti-Doping Agency (WADA) following non-compliance in implementing testing programs effectively. In hockey, 5 players who featured in the Men's Hockey Junior World Cup 2021 at the end of last year are among the 28 players shortlisted by National Chief Coach A. Arul Selvaraj for various international competitions this year. The 5 are defender Muhammad Arif Shafi'i Ishaq, midfielders Muhammad Amirul Hamizan Azhar, Sharman Mati and Alfarico Lance Liao Jr. and striker Muhajir Abdul Rauf. Another midfielder, Tengku Nasrul Iqmal Tengku Abdul Rahim, who represented Pahang in the Tun Abdul Razak Cup 2021, also impressed selectors to be included in the national squad for the first time. Arul Selvaraj said the shortlisted players would be monitored during the Malaysian Hockey League MHL 2022 from 18 February to 31st March, and they needed to prove themselves to remain in the national team. He also advised his charges to give their best in the league, adding that the national coaches would be stressing on physical fitness and maturity of play. Arul Selvaraj said he would study the MHL schedule to be issued by the organisers before drawing up special training sessions for the Speedy Tiger squad. That concludes this evening's news at 10. In our top story, National COVID-19 Rapid Response Force reactivated to tackle Omicron wave. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. Until then, I'm Syahida Arifin. Stay tuned to Saluran Berita RTM and have a pleasant evening.